Australia on a voyage that will see him travel through 10 countries and in the process raise awareness about 10 of the most important charities across the region. It's an adventure that will test his limits during a trip that will be exciting, dangerous, eye-opening and always breathtaking. Join him each week as he travels wheel to wheel. After Vietnam and an intense learning experience with Animals Asia, Morgan is now on his way to visit Child's Dream in Laos.
It's a rare experience going from one communist state to another, especially using a remote, barely used border crossing. It felt like a scene from a James Bond movie where I was the political prisoner being handed across.
I was released from Vietnam after a whole lot of paperwork, and then I made this lonely, quiet journey across this isolated bridge and arrived at the next communist state, Laos.
I'd never been to Laos and was thrilled to have made it to my fourth country on the expedition. Laos is not anywhere near as developed as Vietnam, China or Hong Kong where I'd come from, so it was like stepping back in time. It took hours longer than expected to get from Hanoi to the border, so now I'm running out of daylight, running out of fuel, and there's nowhere obvious to sleep overnight. 20 kilometres back, a guy scammed me with a makeshift fuel pump, leaving me with few options. But after 2 weeks on the road, I've learned how to adapt. The first day of the entire expedition that I've seen the sun or seen blue sky. Been out on the road for about an hour in this beautiful sunshine, winding through mountain roads, passing through villages, hundreds of smiling faces of all the people that I passed by, and a lot of curiosity about the bike as I go through. Absolutely loving the sunshine, loving Laos. As I rode through the countryside, I could see why the work of our selected charity here, Child's Dream, is so important. Lots of children, but no schools in sight. But before meeting its founders, Daniel and Mark, I was keen to experience Laos as a tourist. One of the country's star attractions is the Plain of Jars. Hundreds of ancient stone jars randomly scattered across the landscape. We're here in the World Heritage Site, the Plain of Jars in northern Laos. An area of such mystery, no one actually knows what these jars were originally placed here for. Explanations include storage for rice, storage for bodies, and even weirder examples of perhaps giants inhabiting the earth thousands of years ago and using these as their cups for drinking. Who knows? All I know is it's fascinating. It's great that we're able to come here. And for me, it's a mystery still. The expedition's hectic schedule means I was quickly back on the bike and headed to Luang Prabang. The road was incredibly challenging with countless blind corners every hour. But the sun was still shining and I was thankful for that.
To me, Luang Prabang in particular represents one of the most interesting, cool, bohemian little towns that exists in Asia today.
I definitely want to come back here one day as a tourist to spend time soaking up the relaxed culture, the history and Buddhist sites. Luang Prabang is a well-known backpacker's gem, but it's about to become a whole lot more popular with mainstream tourists. I'm eagerly awaiting the rendezvous with Child's Dream and opening my first ever school in a matter of days. But until that time, I want to experience everything. That includes eating some local food. This is a fried cricket, a local specialty of Laotian cuisine. And when I go to a different place, I always like to try and be at one with the locals. And so here we go. It's actually not too bad. Thankfully, it wasn't an all-insect diet whilst in Laos. This landlocked country, sandwiched between Thailand, Vietnam and Cambodia, is influenced by many cultures. But despite that, Laos still maintains its own identity and vibe.
Well, I think obviously the development was obviously much faster in Thailand. Laos and Cambodia, obviously very different countries, but they had a very long, they participated in war. I mean, Laos was heavily bombed during the Vietnam War. Cambodia had the Khmer Rouge, a lot of social unrest there. So I think they had like a late start in their development. In Laos here, I think corruption might be a little bit less than in Cambodia, but it's still present. And it's still a very communist country, so it's still quite closed with all its pros and cons.
Corruption aside, there's a real spiritual aspect to Laos. The sight of hundreds of orange-clad monks picking up their alms in the morning is breathtaking. It's called Bintabat, a daily Buddhist tradition where the monks collect sticky rice and spring rolls from passers-by in the street. The group of monks are called Sangha, and while it was unforgettable to watch, for some reason, nobody collected anything from me when I tried. Undaunted, I also climbed 100 metres up above the old part of Luang Prabang, where I visited the religious site known as Wat Tan Pusi. There I could see the main temple, a supposed imprint of Buddha's foot, and enjoy an inspiring view of the town.
It's awesome. What a view.
The whole city of Luang Prabang is recognised by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. The town's architecture and planning almost feels more European than Asian. The people are genuinely hospitable to adventurous tourists who are searching for a place that's not affected by commercialisation.
We're here in Laos at the National Park. This area has usually got a huge amount of gushing water coming down. In the summertime, Laos receives a lot of precipitation. Of course, we're here at the end of winter, which is the driest part of the year, hence no water, despite what we've had while we've been in Laos, which is 3 days of incredible rain. Laos has got this sort of rudimentary feel about it, just like this tourist attraction. It's a bit like Thailand 20 years ago. It's got a real charm about it. Things are still very basic, but more and more tourists are discovering exactly what Laos has to offer.
The next stop, a trip down the river to find some elephants.
Beautiful elephants. It's awesome.
Laos used to be known as the land of 1 million elephants. Whoa. But a lack of funds and few experts has meant that many have been poached over the years. That is changing, albeit slowly. My time touring Luang Prabang sites in the sunshine provided the ultimate tourist experience. But my expedition through Laos is all about highlighting the work of Child's Dream and opening a new school way out in the northwest hinterland where the government officials and hundreds of kids are waiting for me. Little did I know, I was about to embark on the most hellish day of the expedition. When Wheel to Wheel returns, Mother Nature wreaks havoc and almost breaks me.
Not making a categoric statement that it's impossible.
A new day and the rain is back. No surprises there. Everyone assembles. Child's Dream have arrived in their four-wheel drive, and my local fixer has decided he wants to ride a motorbike as well. But the ominous weather creates a dilemma. Do we take the longer, safer route, or ride straight for the new school, over 150 kilometres of unfinished road? Daniel from Child's Dream had driven the shorter route only 2 days earlier, and all was clear.
I'm up for the challenge.
But given the weather, the locals were convinced we should take the longer road.
It's narrow, you get a lot of curves, and then it is raining, so it's gonna go for sure.
A couldn't accept any scenario that meant missing the school opening. So I decided we would take the more challenging terrain.
Let's go on the original route. Okay, we're fading up the hard one. Okay, alright, let's go.
Initially, it seemed like I'd made the right decision. The weather eased and crossing the Mekong River was glorious.
It's unbelievable. This is a moment that I've been waiting for so long to cross the Mekong River. It's fantastic. This river cuts through so many different countries and provides the lifeblood for millions of people, village communities that hug its banks. It actually gave rise to civilization in this part of the world.
Sure, it was challenging, but we were making progress. It was thrilling to be on this dirt road, riding through villages and frequently crossing creeks and rivers. Driving rain had turned the road into a slimy mudfest. The mud was actually wet clay and it started to cake onto my tyres, leaving me with no traction to take on the huge hill climbs and descents. What a recipe. Take a fully loaded bike, combine it with freezing temperatures, mud and rain, then add fallen trees to the mix. It was just another obstacle to move out of the way. Went on, everything got worse.
This is hardcore. 2 hours out of Luang Prabang. I've been off the bike 7 times, 4 going uphill, 3 going downhill, and it's heavy, really heavy. You either got to have skill or you got to have strength. I don't have much skill, so thank goodness I got some strength thanks to all the training I've done. There's no grip whatsoever. The tyres are just filling up with mud. Glad to know the motorbike still works when it's been upside down.
We had to make it to the school opening.
Okay, I'm there. "15 hours of absolute hell in the middle of nowhere, no mobile phone reception, no food, no showers, no warmth, no respite from the weather. One four-wheel drive's gone off the cliff. The child's dream four-wheel drive, it's parked by the side of the road, unable to negotiate some of the very steep inclines that I had to get through. The other motorbike that was riding with me, the tour guide, he'd given up, he'd burnt out his clutch, destroyed his bike. It was parked by the side of the road. Freezing cold. Now it's getting dark. We've been going for over 9 hours. You know, when someone says to you that 150 kilometres is going to take 10 hours, until you've seen this, you just scoff at them, like I did this morning. the hardest day of my life, hardest ride of my life. 150 kilometres. I never could have thought anything could be so hard and just challenged me so much. All I could think about was my family, my friends, people who have supported me, and just finding my way through and getting to the end and being able to talk to them.
I'd come down with a severe case of hypothermia, and we desperately needed a place to sleep. 4 guest houses later, and things were becoming dire.
Around 9 o'clock, someone was banging on my door, opened the door and saw aliens. And they looked totally dirty, and then they asked for a room, but I was full.
Monica has saved my life tonight. I was starting to lose consciousness in the car. I could feel my heartbeat starting to slow as the hypothermia set in. It was bad.
He even couldn't look at me and just ask, where is your shower? Where is the shower? And he had even blue lips and shaking the whole body. I made him also a hot Lao. This is the famous rice schnapps from Laos.
With some homemade goulash and a couple of Laos in me, my consciousness returned. After hearing our story, Monica eventually let us sleep on the floor. All in all, it was a day I'll never forget.
Those moments, you just totally rebuild any faith that you ever lost in humanity. And it renews the energy that you have to make the world a better place. I can't speak enough about the importance of that day and the resolve it gave me to push on.
The dream of opening a new school was lost. I was heartbroken. But tomorrow's a new day. Hopefully I'll be reunited with a child's dream, and together we can make a new plan. It's the morning after what was a hellish day on the bike yesterday, with 150 kilometres in the mud and 20-something falls. It's still raining out here in northeastern Laos, completely unexpected for this time of year. Given the destructive events of the last 24 hours, we abandoned any hope of making the school opening. Instead, we travelled for a few hours to 2 of Child's Dream's more accessible schools. The reception at the first school made it all worthwhile. Daniel Siegfried and Mark Jenny were successful bankers who simply gave it all away to find real meaning in their lives.
That's the reason why it's called Child's Dream as well. It's not just their dreams, but it's also my own personal dream. And when I see children coming to school, it's just proof that I have done the right choices for my life and that I actually decided to resign from banking and do this kind of work. So it's pure satisfaction. That's what I feel. Very proud, actually.
I just love the way that they operate. They're just so efficient, clinical, precise about what they do.
What the duo started in Thailand back in 2003 has spread to Burma, Cambodia, and now Laos. Without the schools and basic healthcare facilities built by Child's Dream, these children simply wouldn't receive an education, forever trapping them in the cycle of poverty and exploitation.
So why does Child's Dream even need to exist in a country like Laos?
I think Laos, as you know, is one of the poorest countries in the world, and the government simply does not have enough resources, financial resources, to provide school buildings all over the country, and that's where we come in to support the country. We are mainly providing primary schools and secondary schools, whereby we also build boarding houses in certain instances. If the distance for a child is too far to go every day back and forth, then we provide boarding houses as well.
Child's Dream's impact is clear to see. Where the students once went to school at these makeshift shacks, a sturdy new school can be built for $40,000 US, with the help of private and corporate donations from around the world. What's really powerful about this charity is they hand over the building on completion to the community, who provide the teachers and books. It really is the ideal collaboration. I got to see how well the system works when I checked out one of the lessons.
These kids are learning some serious stuff. Grade 10 algebra and English was hard enough for me, but in Laos, impossible.
If they don't get an education, the risk of exploitation is extremely high. So by empowering these children, by giving them an education, we'll give them opportunities for the future, whether they can make a choice whether they want to stay in the family farm, whether they want to get a job somewhere else. And even if they stay in the family farm, they will make good decisions for their farm, because this is like a small enterprise.
1 out of 5 children in Laos have no access to school, and only 15% continue past primary school. With figures like that, the ones saved by Child's Dream are truly grateful.
ฝานี่จะบ่ได้แอมเลยแอมครึ่งหนึ่งแต่
แอมโดยไม่ป้อง
ไม่ป้องเฮา
ซับเป็นฝากมาซอย
แล้วเวลาลมพัดนี่มันจะฝนตกลมแรงนี่มันฝนอีหัวตอนลมอีพัดบางทีก็จะได้ขาดโรงเรียนเป็นบางตอนแบบฝนอากาศ
ฝนตกเวลาลมพัดแล้วมันจะพัดสัญญาแล้วมันจะปึงออกเลย
เป็นที่ฝุ่นกุ้มเลย
One has to imagine that children without an education, and when we look at Laos, for example, 20% of the kids have no access to school at all, not even primary level. One has to imagine without any basic education, not being able to do a simple calculation, how do you make sure you're not cheated in your life?
While meeting the headmasters and teachers at the 2 schools, I was able to see the passion and appreciation for what Child's Dream has accomplished. Child's Dream's success has meant the organisation now has a staff of 30 who research where schools are needed, negotiate the land, then manage the construction process.
We have no intention to grow the organisation further, so we want to be 30 people. It's a very family-like environment. We all know each other very well. We have slept one night in the car, which is very normal. So it's like, we want to keep it that way.
Despite having already made a huge impact, the duo plan to keep building schools in Laos if they're able to raise the funds.
We are 2 bankers. We are like, let's try, you know, if we can build a school here and here, we have achieved our goal. That we would have 30 staff having completed 120 projects over the last 7.5 years, having helped more than 200,000 kids in that period of time, that we would not have imagined in our wildest dreams. For me, as a founder of the organization, every time I walk to a school, it's really, it touches me, and it's the fulfillment of the dream. That's why the organization is called Child's Dream.
Refreshed and invigorated by the school visits, it was time to push on. I was now completely alone for the first time in the expedition. It made me feel nervous, perhaps a little scared, but certainly apprehensive. Overall, I was excited about the opportunity to be a solo adventurer. Now I could set my own pace, stop where I wanted to stop, and really challenge myself to go on. The day was beautiful, a perfect blue sky. The 400-kilometre journey to Laos' capital, Vientiane, would take 8 hours and see me make over 7,500 corners. I rode hard and beyond the point of exhaustion, as making it further across the border to Thailand meant that I could escape the clutches of 2 unscrupulous fixers who had been scamming me throughout Vietnam and Laos and were now waiting for me in Vientiane. One of them became hostile since his failed attempt to ride with me on the hellish mud day to the planned school opening. He'd been forced back to Luang Prabang for bike repairs, but was now using my satellite transmitter to hunt me down and extort more money. His sidekick had already extracted $1,500 from me to enter Laos, so I was determined to make it into Thailand, then back into Laos, so I could carry on further south to Cambodia without them. Using only a compass and with the help of a few locals,
Where's Thailand?
I was able to find the Thai-Lao Friendship Bridge minutes before it closed for the night.
Morgan Parker may be able to get into Thailand, but his route calls for a return to Laos before crossing into Cambodia. Will the fixers be waiting for him? What surprises await our intrepid adventure? Find out next week on Wheel to Wheel. For more information, please visit wheeltowheel.tv.